On July the 28th, 1914, Austro-Hungarian artillery opened fire on Belgrade, and well, the world lurched into a war that would consume 4 years, 3 months, and 14 days. Millions of men, farmers, students, factory workers, arrived in uniform with no idea they would be forced to become masters of fieldcraft simply to stay alive. Buried inside their story are survival lessons no bushcrafter or preparedness-minded person can afford to ignore. When the war stalled in 1914, soldiers did what humans have done for millennia. They dug. Trenches evolved from hasty scrapes into underground cities hundreds of miles long. A front-line trench ran 6 to 8 feet deep, walls revetted with sandbags and salvaged corrugated iron, duck boards underfoot to keep men above the standing water. Communication trenches zigzagged deliberately. A straight trench let a single machine gun sweep the length of it. The traverse contained blast and forced attackers to fight around corners. Dugouts deeper still offered refuge. German engineers built some 30 feet underground, complete with bunks and electric light. These were not holes. They were engineered sanctuaries born from desperate fieldcraft. No history book prepares you for what those trenches felt like. The air carried cordite and the sweetish rot of the unrecovered dead. Rats moved in fattened colonies through the walls. The soundscape was relentless. Base artillery, rifle crack, the hollow thump of trench mortars, broken only by a silence that made every man grip his rifle tighter, because silence meant something was coming. Rain turned the chalk and clay of northern France into a suffocating paste. Men lost their boots to it entirely. In that world, the instincts of hunters and farmers, reading terrain, managing scarce resources, enduring discomfort without breaking, became the difference between living and dying. A practice soldier could raise a lean-to in under an hour from a ground sheet, a length of wire, and a salvage post. Men slept 2 or 3 together to preserve body heat, a principle every bushcrafter knows. In the forward areas, soldiers dug funk holes, narrow scrapes horizontal into the trench wall, just wide enough to crawl inside and sleep curled around your kit. A horizontal grave, but one that offered what no man could take for granted. A moment of concealment, a thin membrane between himself and the artillery that never truly stopped. Shell craters brimmed with water contaminated by gas and decay. Drinking it untreated was a slow death sentence. Soldiers filtered water through cloth packed with crushed charcoal and, boiled every drop over improvised braziers punched from biscuit tins. When rations failed, men foraged wild onions from hedgerow remnants, nettles boiled into soup, mushrooms from shattered forest floors after rain. Country-born soldiers shared this knowledge with urban comrades, carrying pre-war fieldcraft directly into the wasteland, to the yams. The Great War forged modern military camouflage. French soldiers in red trousers were cut down in the opening weeks, visible at ranges where rifle fire was, honestly, effortless. By 1915, every army wore earth tones. But soldiers learned regulation colour was only the beginning. Snipers constructed ghillie suits from hessian and local vegetation, invisible at 10 paces. Observation posts were disguised as hollow steel trees, installed at night in no man's land. All of it required intimate fieldcraft. How light falls on natural texture, how the eye finds movement and straight lines, the same principles taught in every serious bushcraft course today. Trench foot killed as surely as bullets. The British Army mandated dry socks twice daily and whale oil on the skin, a simple discipline that dramatically cut casualties. The lesson endures. Daily maintenance keeps you operational far longer than raw toughness. Lice were universal. Soldiers ran lit candles along shirt seams to destroy the eggs, finding psychological control where almost none existed. Morale held through stubborn small rituals, tea before dawn, letters read and reread, black humour applied to unbearable conditions. Unit cohesion, the bond forged in shared mud and terror, proved the most powerful survival force of all. The Great War stripped ancient wilderness skills to bare function. Fire became covert, kept low and smokeless against aerial observation. Navigation across landmark-obliterated terrain demanded compass bearing and pace count, the same dead reckoning taught today. Weather reading was operationally vital. Wind direction governed gas attack risk and artillery accuracy. Tracking found urgent new purpose. A fresh parapet meant new construction. Disturbed wire meant a patrol. Absent rats meant recent gas. Men who carried these perceptual habits from pre-war lives outdoors were invaluable. They became scouts and snipers. Their fieldcraft kept them, and the men beside them, alive. On November 11th, 1918, the guns went silent. Men who had lived underground, built shelters from wire and canvas, and filtered water from shell craters, walked out into an unfamiliar quiet. The knowledge they carried was forged where no bushcraft course can follow. But the skills themselves were ancient, belonging to anyone who has had to rely on resourcefulness, manage scarcity, or adapt without margin for error. They didn't call themselves survivalists. They called themselves soldiers and most wanted only to go home. But what they practiced every grinding day was the oldest human discipline, staying alive through skill, observation, and the refusal to stop solving problems. That art belongs to no single era. It belongs to anyone willing to learn it. Subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles. If this episode opened a window into history you didn't know you needed, hit subscribe, because every episode of Fieldcraft Chronicles is built for people who believe that knowing how to survive is not a hobby, it's a responsibility. Share this video with every history lover, bushcrafter, and preparedness-minded person in your life. The lessons of the Great War were paid for in full. The least we can do is remember them. Fieldcraftchronicles.com. Like, share, subscribe.